It's no doubt that iOS has become an iconic gaming platform. However, with over 200,000 games to choose from, it can be confusing to know which ones are good and which ones aren't. This is July's episode of the top 5 games you've never heard of. Imagine that Scrabble and Guitar Hero had a baby. Meet Alphabeats. This app is available for $1.99 in the iOS App Store. The idea behind Alphabeats is actually quite brilliant. Now, you were to spell words that may be formed by the descending letters on this fretboard-like playing grid. Now, the letters fall to the rhythm of the music, and the music, I gotta say, is actually quite good. Now, when you've spelled a word correctly, the word will turn green. Swiping up will cash the word in for points, although you can choose to ignore the green lettering in attempts of getting a higher scoring word. This, of course, puts you at a higher risk. Once you collect a letter that makes your word invalid or impossible to complete, the letters will turn red and you lose your chance at points. And you gotta start over with a new word. Power-ups and other such items can help you accelerate gameplay and further your success. Now, the biggest downside to this game, and it is a mighty one, is that the game only comes with 5 songs. There are in-app purchases available to purchase further song packs, but they're not cheap, so you're going to be spending in the future quite a bit of money to get a bunch of new songs, which is really rather disappointing. So if price isn't a huge factor, we recommend Alphabeats to everyone. Be you a music lover, be you a puzzle lover, it's a great game that will get tons of replay value, and it's really just a blast. Now, this next game is easily my favorite in the series. It's called Orbitum. And not only is it an excellent game with an amazing soundtrack, but it's got a great price at just 99 cents. There's also a free version, which is really good as well for those of you who don't want to throw down the cash. The objective is simple: stay alive. You're rotating around a black hole that's quickly sucking you in, and you need to collect the green and blue nodes to gain up the highest point score you can before you die. If you get sucked into the black hole, you die. If you touch one of the red nodes on the grid, you die. And if you touch the red wall, you also die. So with so many ways to die, that means you don't live for very long. I haven't had very many games where I'm able to play more than a minute without dying. So that makes it great to play in grocery store lines, at doctor's offices. Heck, you could even do it while you're waiting for a red light. No, don't do that, that's not safe. It even gets more difficult as you progress because the color of the grid changes to a less visible, more difficult to read grid. The speed and velocity of the orbit takes place, and so it is just really hard to come out alive. I really don't know if you can win the game. I've never gotten further than a couple thousand points. Orbitum will become a gem in the history of iOS games. It is a must download and must play. This next one, I really don't know what it's called. It only exists in Russian. Now, I can already see the question twinkling in your eyes. Are you freaking kidding me? And no, I'm not. Even though this game is in Russian, there is no English variant. Even though I can't understand the instructions, I can't even understand the storyline. Heck, I don't even know how to say the title of the game. It is such a well-designed game that it amazes me. I found it in the news section of the App Store a couple weeks ago, and to be honest, hardly anyone has bought it. There are 35 registered players at this point in time in Game Center. And I don't think it'll ever really get big due to the fact it's only in Russian. But it is an amazingly good game, not just for the graphics, but because it has a great soundtrack, game controls are excellent, and it has a replay value that'll keep you coming back again and again. It's very Flappy Bird, Angry Birds-ish in the sense that you need to go as far as you can without dying. You are a wingless bird that navigates by jetpack, and those other bigger, badder, fully developed birds are out to get ya. They will try at all lengths to get you down. There's also objects on the ground too, like weird little turtles and stuff like that, but that's aside the point. Your objective is to collect as many coins as you can and get the furthest in distance of meters before you hit 2 objects, which is your limit before you beak down into the ground and you die. Now, it's a really interesting game because it's just so well developed. I really have a fun time playing it. I'm currently one of the top 10 in Game Center, and that's pretty easy when there's only 35 players. But for 99 cents, I would highly recommend it. I think you'll get a kick out of it. Not just because it's in Russian and you can brag to your friends jokingly saying that you understand it, but just because it's a really well-designed game that I wish was in English, because if it were, this would be in the top 50 easily. Check it out right now in the App Store. It's called... That's not what it's called. Link's in the description. The last game is called Sky Tourist Blitz Trip, and despite the crappy name, it's a pretty good game. Now, as you can see, the graphics on this game are also quite remarkable. It's really well done and well polished. And to be honest, I haven't played the game extensively enough to be able to tell you definitively whether or not it's excellent. I can see from the get-go that it is very version 1.0 in the sense that there are a couple graphics, sometimes there's some rendering issues, but the graphics on this game are really great. The soundtrack is not so good, but it's really not that big of a deal. The objective of the game is, well, first of all, you're this little guy and you slide back and forth on this cable depending on the position of the rocket ships, which are controlled by your left and right thumbs. Now, when you put too much tension on the cable, as you saw there, it turns red. When it gets too much tension for too long, the cable will break and you have to start all the way over again. And that's what's going to happen right now. Now, the objective of the game is to collect these little orange cubes. I think they look like lums, kind of, from the Rayman series, if you're familiar with that. And also those little flashing, colorful diamonds that you can see above. You're given a star rating at the end of the level based upon how many lums and diamonds you collected. That's great, but there are no other gaming elements, which is kind of disappointing. I wish there was one that was time-based, kind of cut the rope style, where you have to go quickly. I think that would be more wise because right now the game is really easy if you're taking your time and you're cautious. So that's kind of something that I wish they would change, because when you're going quick and you're out of control, that cable breaks really easily. And so that's a gaming mechanic I would have hoped they would have fixed. But if you've done everything successfully by collecting the lums and collecting the stars, you're given 3 stars at the end of the level. Again, I haven't played through all of the levels to know how it works well enough, but I like it so far and recommend that you take a look. Well, folks, that's all from me. Thank you so much for watching. If you liked this video, please be sure to give it a thumbs up and subscribe for future videos like this. And as always, stay snazzy.